welcome to another podcast starring Wesley. What's up, Wesley?
What's up?
This is a good one, man.
I'm ready.
Takers versus makers.
Anything with makers in it, I'm on board.
Makers, yeah. Man, do we have it?
Yeah, there's a
we
little
do.
right over there, just out of the. Oh, wait.
Oh, my goodness.
There it is.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, first of all, I want to thank you. As always, we never charge for these episodes, so if you would kindly tag us on social media, Kosmo Unfiltered, share it with somebody, leave us a comment. I would absolutely love it, and we'll just call that your price of admission. If you're watching, or if you're listening on podcast, make sure you follow us. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. So in this episode, we're going to talk takers versus makers. And believe it or not, you are, I would say, I would be open to discussing, you're constantly either taking or you switch to constantly making. And this is just my little version of it. I am a firm believer in karma. Firm believer.
Yeah.
And I think that if you are always taking from, call it whatever you want, the universe, your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, your kids, or whatever, like, you know, karma will pay you back how you respect karma. I believe that takers will take, and makers, they kind of keep the system going. They make it work.
Yeah.
Right? What say you?
I think about when my wife and I were doing counseling before we got married. They do the personality stuff, you know, and we had taken some time. I don't remember what test it was, but part of her, like, you know, little paragraph about who she is was saying that she's a giver, and she will give especially more to the takers. Yeah. So it was kind of a moment for her of like, oh, like she could pick the people in her life, like just out of her head that were.
My wife is the exact same way.
And those people, the takers will find the givers. They find them.
They find them and they just bleed them dry.
And so she had to learn how to, and still does, to keep, because you have commitments. Yeah. And there's people in your life you can't not give to, you know, and like your family and the people you come home to, and it's in your job. So it's like seeing that as a resource that's a learning experience for all of us.
Yeah. And I believe that to me, when I see somebody taking from somebody that's making, and they just constantly, it angers me.
Yeah.
But what about the inverse of that? What if, I'll use your wife, for example, or my wife. What if you're a maker, but it's your turn to take? Most of the people that took from that person won't show up to help them.
Yeah. And
I'll even argue that most of the makers probably won't even ask for help.
Yeah, it's hard for us to ask for help.
Yeah, because you're so used to, you know, making the system work, keeping it going, that you struggle asking for help. And I think you should always know where you're at in the system, and do you need to be making or do you need to be taking? Because sometimes I think it's just, I always ask my wife this when she comes home. She comes home and she goes to making dinner, and the crazy thing is like, I don't, like me personally, I don't need you to come home. That's just what she wants to do. She wants to give back. And I'll say, hey, honey, is there anything I can do? And she's like, no, I got it. I'm like, you know, and then it probably turns into me, you know, going, you know, asking too much. I know there's something I can do. What can I do? You know, and then I'm persistent. Anybody knows me knows that I'm freaking crazy persistent. So I'll ask you, when do you think you should take, and when do you think you should make? I got some pretty good notes here, though.
You do?
Yeah.
So I think it's...
Don't steal my notes, though.
No, I won't steal your notes. I won't look. I promise. Okay. I have a copy, but I will not look. I think I'll just speak for me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. But knowing and being aware of knowing when to take and when to make is not always isolated to the situation that you're in at the moment.
Okay.
So if there's a where I just need to take, I got to think more holistically about what's the last month been like? What's the last 6 months been like? And take that as like, I think it's what do they call it? And it's like statistics. It's like a qualifying a need in the moment is a rolling average of whatever's been happening for the last 6 months. And that helps me determine, is it okay to even be vocal about this need? Is it selfish to be vocal about this need? And at that point, I'm not making or taking. All I'm doing is making a judgment based on the situation and qualifying it. Not that your needs go away or that, right. I mean, there's always a chance to be reflective and talk back about it, but I think you can become a taker. Well, I guess you're a taker if you're being vocal about a need from somebody who may not have anything to give you and they're already in a deficit. And so you may have to find the will to put yourself on the back burner and just make a little bit more.
Yeah. I kind of look at it like a gas tank. Like if I'm on empty, then I probably need to put my pride down and ask for some help.
Yeah.
In whatever it is. But if my gas tank's on full, then I need to look for situations that I can put myself in to help serve other people. Those of you that know me, live close, I go to church in Mustang, Oklahoma, and I serve in Life Kids. Now, I don't go in the kids' classrooms.
We don't want you around.
That's not me. I don't want to be parenting your kids because you probably wouldn't like it. But I check families in when they come in, and they walk straight in the door, and I, hey, how can I help you? Do we need to enter you in this? If it's a new family, they need to enter them in the system. And I think back to one family, and they walked in first time here. They just moved here. Just moving from like Virginia or something.
Oh, shoot.
And this new family walked in. They're like, this is our first time here. I'm like, okay, well, come over here and we'll get you set up. And the guy just stone cold just gets quiet and is staring at me. And I'm talking to his wife and entering the kids' names and all that. And he goes, are you Kosmo? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm currently checking in your kids. And he's like, but why? Why? Like in his head.
Sure, yeah.
His head, he didn't understand. He saw all of our cooking videos on YouTube.
You're in the computer.
Yeah. He goes, you're on the screen. What are you doing here? I said, well, I'm checking in kids. And he came up to me a couple weeks after that, and he goes, I would have never thought in a million years that I would walk in and catch you serving brand new families, or just all the families that come in. And I sat there and thought about it, and I thought, well, good, I'm giving back.
Yeah,
that's
right where I need to be.
External, that's the karma coming back to me, going, hey, you're doing a good thing, man. So, when should you take and when should you make? Now, this is mine. And I'll read to you what I wrote here, just so I don't screw it up, because I had to think about this.
Okay.
Because I don't want to screw it up. Sometimes this is where you're at, and a good example of this is like a battered female or male that just lives in a horrible situation. Usually by then they just have so much psychological stuff going on in their head that somebody has, either told them, more than likely told them, belittled them, degraded them, that they feel guilty asking for help. But these are people that absolutely should be taking. Absolutely. In the inverse of that, making, this is someone who is willing and able to give back freely from their heart. This is where the karma comes in. Now you can, somebody, you remember that episode of The Big Bang Theory where Wolowitz was drugged down to the food kitchen?
No.
And drugged down, didn't want to go, and he's wanting to be out on the line serving people because this is where his friends are, but he gets shoved in the back to do dishes, and he's back there by himself. And then Elon Musk walks in. And Elon Musk is going, hey, I just got here. No, I want, I wash dishes. I love serving these people. How about you? Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. I love serving people. And I'm thinking the whole time he got drugged down there. But I think for me, that's the key to it, is when you do it from your heart. When you serve others from your heart, not from necessity, AKA, let me put my El Reno slang on this. Golly, what do they call it? Court mandated.
Community service.
Community service.
If you're there because the judge told you had to be.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, everybody that's forced to do community service, no one wants to do community service.
Oh, that's good.
No one does. So I think about it like this. When when your gas tank is running low, you should probably look around and find out a way you can refill your gas tank.
Yep.
And maybe that's asking somebody to do the dishes, do the laundry, whatever, But when your gas tank is full, that's when you should be looking to serve. How can I give back? How can I help make somebody's day rather than take from somebody?
Yeah.
You remember the episode we did about the coins?
Yeah.
And how you spend your coins? The inverse of that is when somebody serves you, it's almost like they give you a coin. I have a lot of coins, and I'm willing to give you one so you can spend this coin however you want to. That episode's a great episode, by the way.
Who said that?
This old dude.
That's a good one.
This old boy I know.
There you go.
So that's the way I see it. Takers versus makers. So leave me a comment down below. Where are you at right now? Are you in need, or can you serve? Because you're one of the two. And believe it or not, and this goes, I feel bad. No, I don't feel bad for saying this. I'll probably catch some shit for saying this, but I really don't care.
Getting used to that. There's
people that I'm trying to figure out in my head how I can clean this up, because it's going to, man. At church, I noticed there's people that rush in, dump their kids off, go to church, and leave. And usually, they have great kids, but there's sometimes they got, little shitheads. And I asked one in particular. I'm close to them, so I have the equity to ask them. I said, how come you don't serve? And the first thing out of their mouth was, I don't have time. So let me get this straight. You have time to let your kids be watched by somebody else who's freely giving up their time.
Yeah.
Every single week. Freely. Every single week, week in and week out, pouring into your kids. You have time, and I know this person very well, and believe you me, they have time. But you don't have time to come in here and pour back for 1 hour. 1 hour to some kids, or hold the door open, or whatever, Yeah. In whatever way that you're called to serve.
Sure.
I just use the kids because that's where I serve. But I wouldn't go in the classroom. But hey, man, come up here and help me check in family. So
yeah,
I think about that, and there's obviously there's a lot more takers than there are makers,
mm-hmm.
and that's why I say makers make the world go round. And if it wasn't for them, where would we be? So, hey, I want to thank everybody for watching. You know the routine. Tag us on social media. Share this with a friend. Leave me a comment down below. Are you a taker or a maker? And if so, where do you find your joy? And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.